Where the fuck is McClay?
Now, they don't have any money, the 49ers, so I don't think I worry. Where I am definitely afraid to ever sign a good running back because of what the history is.
Bogcast, episode 73.
Wait. This is 74, I think.
74, me. There you go, buddy.
All right. Hold on. Action.
Awesome. This is the Bogcast, episode 74. We are brought to you by Bang Salon. Come get all your hair needs, including cuts, natural colors, vivid colors, extensions, shampoo and stylings, all under one roof at Bang Salon. The fuck was that?
Being a dick, man.
Yeah, I think you got the window open too, brother.
I know, but he just fucking coughed.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So we're good.
Going.
We're good, bro.
Oh,
We're good.
you guys are freaking me out.
You got your mask on. You're good.
Find and message Bang Salon on Instagram at BANGDSALON. Use promo code
Bogcast.
for 20% off your first visit. So come on down and get banged by Jordan. But if you really try to bang her, I'll fucking kill you.
I remember that.
Cool.
All right. Check us out on Spotify, Google Play, Google Music, all your favorite podcatchers, and like and subscribe. Make sure you're fucking subscribed. Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. We have a great old friend to join us today. His name's Nick LaConte. How you doing, man?
Pretty well.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Can you scoot this up a little bit more? I'm sorry.
Nope.
There you go. Fuck yeah, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and shit.
Yeah. It's been a minute. Was hoping we'd get on sooner because I had to bring my itinerary to make sure I remember all the names of all the crazy shit we saw in
So-
Egypt.
Yeah, dude. Fucking. So this motherfucker went to Egypt. One of my, definitely on my bucket list. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but not only did he go to Egypt, he went on a fucking dimensional tour with some of the greatest like fringe Egyptologists. When I say fringe, I don't mean that they're fringe. I mean most people are going to consider them fringe because they don't. Their knowledge isn't out there as much. It might be a little bit more now with kind of like the bullshit ancient alien stuff, you know.
Right.
But these are the real deal Holyfields of the crew.
And
Robert Schoch.
Yeah. The funny thing about him is he gets a lot of negative feedback.
I don't know why.
He goes up against so much. It's because his theories are disproving so much of history that's out
It's
there.
like Graham Hancock.
Well, yeah. I mean, Graham Hancock is getting a lot of his stuff from Robert Schoch. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, Robert Schoch's like one of the OGs. He doesn't seem like it though, because he's a super nice, just chill dude. He's really
Right.
quiet.
I've seen him on Rogan. He's been on.
Yeah,
Rogan,
he's been
right?
on
Yeah.
Rogan. Yeah.
How'd you connect with him?
We were actually in touch with him and his wife for a couple years before, because they do different tours to Machu Picchu and Turkey and all kinds of stuff. We were kind of waiting for the Egypt tour to come up, and once that got announced, we immediately booked spots on it, and it filled up right away. You want me to get closer? It was all creepy when you're coming at me with your mask on.
Sorry, bro.
Oh, it's all good.
You look super nervous.
Well, yeah, because you look like a fucking creep, dude.
Well, fuck you. You guys are freaking me out.
I'm telling you, dude, we're
I'm just
okay. We'll smoke personal fucking blunts, okay?
That's what we need.
Yeah. There you go.
I have one.
Yeah, I'll take one for sure.
How am I supposed to smoke weed in this?
That's your fucking problem, man.
Thank you, sir.
Filter on one side, brother.
Can you poke a hole in it?
Poke a hole in it.
So
Sorry, bro. I just didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to fix the mic.
It's fucked up. Don't let it happen again. I got a light. Thank you.
there's an ashtray right there. Just gotta move it towards the middle, probably.
Sweet.
All right, so we just fucking lost our train of thought. All right, where were we?
So yeah, we were in touch with him and his wife for a couple years, and once they announced that tour, we got on it. And a couple months later, that's when he went on the Joe Rogan podcast, And immediately after he went on that, he got bombarded with emails for people wanting to go on the tour. So they set up a second tour that took place immediately after ours. Ours was for 40 people, and the second one they did was for 80, which is a lot.
Is it? See, that's what we got to get into, because they're starting to do these new tours like this, right?
Right.
There's a lot of them that are happening, which is cool. I'm all for it, because you get to meet. I mean, like, to me, if I got, like, what we did with Jonah is kind of like, I would put that in the realm of being able to go on a trip to Egypt with Robert Schoch. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's cool that these motherfuckers are doing this. These guys are the real deal. I think they probably have some of the most fervent fans out there. So I bet you these things fill up pretty quick, and they're having to double the amount.
Right.
But still, at what point is it still personal? You know what I mean?
I think 40 was a good number.
Yeah.
So Rogan fucked it up.
No.
It's
No,
not
I
that
don't mean
he-
it like that, but he got so
created a
popular.
demand, just a demand where they're like, we got to do double because we're getting bombarded with so many emails. So
And John Anthony West died too, so that took because he was doing the same thing.
yeah, he was a real close personal friend of Robert Schoch.
And that happened like recent to when you guys went out with
Yeah.
him, right? That was like a couple months before he passed away when you guys went out. So
A little bit before, yeah.
oh, that had to be a bummer.
Yeah, you could tell, when we go to a lot of the sites, you could see the emotion coming over him because they've been going there since like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Let's before we get too far into it, let's talk about, for people that might not know, like what John Anthony West, Robert Schoch, Graham Hancock. They probably know Graham Hancock more than any of them, right? I think Graham has probably got the most media play, but let's give them an idea of kind of what their thoughts are. Just a quick idea. It's basically ancient Earth, that the Earth has been, there's been civilizations around, maybe multiple civilizations that have reached to a level to where they can create machines or use some type of energy to create to build these things that we're not giving any credit to,
Right.
because we think that we're the apex. And they're starting to see with today's archaeology that some of these civilizations are tens of thousands of years older than we thought. It could be hundreds of thousands, right?
It seems like Graham Hancock every other week on Twitter is posting like, "See, I told you so," and they're
Yes.
discovering something that was way older than it was.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with the tour that we did was called Zep-Tepi, and the whole theory of the tour and kind of a large backbone of what the documentary they were filming, because they were filming a documentary while we were on the tour, and a lot of what that had to do with was I don't want to speak on behalf of, because they're still tossing theories around for this documentary, but essentially one of the theories is that when the planet was in the last ice age, they think that there was a solar event that took place, that there was a plasma strike that hit at the pyramids, and that's what shook the casings off the pyramids.
Wow.
And there's charring, vitrification on the ground, and you could see this black charring just in these strike lines. So that was interesting, because I always wondered, like, what the fuck made those come off? Because you can still see remaining up there at the top of one of them.
And people don't
Well,
realize
explain that
that.
really quick.
Yeah,
What
the
happened?
casings.
Yeah,
So
what are the casings?
the pyramids used to be covered in a sheath of what's the limestone, like pure white polished limestone, though.
Right.
Enough to where it had almost like a mirror-like finish. There's
wow.
ancient historians have said that they've seen the pyramids, or they've heard about the pyramids having mirror-like finishes, and you can see at the top, near the apex. I don't think any of the pyramids have their apex stone anymore, do they? No, but you can see close there to that stone, some of that shit's left around. You know what I mean? To a point you can see it used to all be encased, and what Nick was talking about is something caused that encasing to
Come
off
essentially rattle off
in a fast manner, not over a long period of time.
Right.
In a solar plasma? Is that what you said?
That's the theory that they're talking about, and that's kind of the event that took us out of the last ice age.
What are the other
Allegedly.
theories though? Like, what's the main theory?
Well, that the main theory is basically that the main theory to me isn't what ended them, but that there was ancient civilizations that might have been smarter than us, right? And to utilize some of the things they were using, storage, battery storage. That's essentially what they're saying the pyramids were, some type of way to contain or disperse energy, right? Some of the things that just boggle me are the Sphinx, right? So the Sphinx head was never a pharaoh. It was, if it was anything, I think, and I'd be interested to see what Nick says, I think it was probably just a lion head
There's a few
first.
theories.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about it is that Sphinx has been there for so long, and been changed, and how long have they said that the Sphinx has been there?
20, 30 years.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
20, 30,000.
No, it's Robert Schoch with his dating the what's the fucking word I'm looking for?
The plateau.
Yeah, just
the weathering,
the area that's around the Sphinx,
yeah.
the enclosure.
Yeah.
The dating on that, they say, is at least 9 to 11,000 BC.
And there are some cool things that these new archaeologists are using to. I watched this cool thing where this guy was explaining how you can date the Sphinx back even farther, and it had a different look because of they found this stone of the original. It was supposed to be the original pharaoh, which is give the name the Scorpion King, but he was the original pharaoh, and they found this stone out in the middle of the fucking desert in Egypt, nowhere near Egypt. Sorry, in the middle of the desert in North Africa, and
you're talking about. I think I know the name of that
pharaoh. Anyways, on the stone, it shows him on one side, like battering his enemies with a club and hitting them on their heads, and on the other side, it's got all these pictures, and one of them is a sphinx, but with a different head. And he's proved that because of these things that were on the back of the Sphinx, what the Sphinx was used for, and all this craziness. And I love shit like that, where they're using older materials to say, here, this is 10,000 years older. This rock is 10,000 years older than you think the Sphinx is, and it shows the Sphinx on it.
Right.
How do you know what I mean? And then people say, oh, that's not the Sphinx, or that's the carbon dating is wrong, or this and that. But then you got people like Robert Schoch and Graham Hancock and these ancient archaeologists. I don't know what you would call them, but they look at more ancient theories and stuff that you can tell by the weathering, right? That's a big part, the weathering.
Right.
Some of that shit is being weathered because it was full of seas and there was jungles in North Africa.
Or heavy rainfall.
Heavy rainfall.
That's the thing that they suspect.
Yeah.
It's from heavy rainfall.
It's the one that gets me, and the one that is probably the thing that busted this ancient theory out in the open, other than fucking ancient aliens. We'll probably talk about that a lot on here, but that show can be it's a cool gateway, but it can be.
I was going to ask you, are these people you're talking about, are they human or are they alien?
That's the thing. I don't know. They don't know.
Nick?
Who?
These people that he's talking about before, are they human or are they alien?
I mean, I can't really speak to that. I don't know.
That's the thing, is that...
What does this Robert Schoch guy think of that? Say to that?
I don't know what Robert Schoch says.
He doesn't really get a whole lot into the alien talk when we were there. I mean, he's more a guy that's based in evidence.
Yes, that's why they don't say who. They just say, we know what they built.
I like that.
Yeah.
So his contribution to things like Ancient Aliens is more from... He's going to get involved and speak on behalf of things that usually he has an evidence base in. Not really speculating on aliens and things like that, which I firmly, I
agree too. If he's going to be a scientist in the scientific world,
right,
you got to be based off evidence.
It's cool. He still teaches at Boston University too.
This guy's a genius. If you guys need to do yourself a favor and just go look up some Robert Schoch videos on YouTube. He'll blow your mind. And he's a really cool dude, like really soft spoken, at least he seems.
Funny thing is like the first day when we met him, when we were at the hotel in the Mania House, which is, it's like this 5-star resort, literally like right next to the pyramids. It's as close to the pyramids as you can get. Like you can just you have a perfect view of the pyramid right next to the hotel.
Was this your first time going?
Yeah.
So what was it like seeing them like that for the first time?
Dude, from the moment we got there was a trip, because like I first have to address the driving there was terrifying.
Oh my God.
And I know that that's just how they do it. You know, they have,
But somehow it works, huh?
yeah, they have speed limit signs and stuff, but
There's just no rules or what?
it's just so crowded. And like if there's 3 lanes on the road, there's like 5 lanes of traffic. They don't work within the lines.
Yeah, they weave in and out.
They weave in and out any open space there. It's terrifying. Like when we got in the car, we got picked up from the airport. We got picked up from the airport and we're heading to the hotel. And I was like, this guy is either this is the norm or he's trying to scare us, but it turned out to be the norm. That's just how.
Is this a taxi or like, do they have Ubers and shit there?
Yeah, actually they do. It's a funny thing. Like the first night we were there, we took an Uber into town. It was like 87 cents.
Wow.
But yeah, but the drive from the airport just terrified me.
So you're just glad you made it alive.
I just started videotaping because it seemed less real if I had a camera up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just videotaping the entire ride on the airport. So yeah, once like we started seeing the pyramids and shit, and I was like, oh man, there it is. It just, and the weird thing is like they look all huge, but when you get up next to them, they don't feel as big.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. They're still huge. Don't get me
Because
wrong.
they seem, because you know they're real.
Yeah,
Like you're standing next to them's got to be like a thing where you're like, ah, man. I couldn't imagine.
It was surreal. The whole trip felt like a dream.
Were you worried at any time about just being over in Egypt?
So,
Can you get any good drugs there?
I didn't go near any of that, dude. Not with the nature of the way things are there. Yeah. You just don't even want to.
They probably told you.
I got offered many times.
Really?
Many, many times people would come up to me and ask me if I want hash. And I'm like, nah, yes, but no. Like I was told what happened because like our tour guide, Muhammad, this guy, Muhammad Ibrahim, dude's awesome. But he was telling us on one of their previous tours that one of their guests got caught with like a half a joint by the Egyptian authorities, and he immediately was thrown into prison.
Oh God!
And
it's like Midnight Express type bullshit, man.
He had to hire an Egyptian attorney and go through the whole process. He was extradited from the country. He's never allowed back. Over a half a joint.
That's scary, man.
So I was like, at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna. It's
not worth it.
I'll just have some alcohol when I'm there because I don't really drink much anymore, but. I just got some vodka when I was there, and
yeah, that's probably your best bet. Matter of fact, I would even try to stay sober as much as possible at that point.
The thing was, the whole time we were there, it was Ramadan, so it was a trip because like if you could be in Egypt at any time, Ramadan is the most interesting because I don't think it's like this other times because. All throughout the day,
nobody's
every day.
Out on the streets.
No, they're everywhere. But
really?
All throughout the day, every day, you'd hear coming from every direction over loudspeakers prayer time, just blaring.
So not just 5 times a day; it was more than normal.
I didn't count, but it felt like it was constant, dude.
Because I always wondered what that'd be like having to be wherever you're at. If you're Muslim at a certain point during the day. Those calls come out. You have to stop what you're doing and pray 5 times a day.
How long does that last for?
I don't know, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
No. Like how many days?
Oh, it's a whole month.
But they have to do that every day. Period.
I know that.
Yeah.
But the Ramadan thing.
The Ramadan thing, yeah, where they're
and they fast, right?
Yeah, they can only eat within certain hours and things like that. And alcohol is a bit taboo. I actually, we were on. Part of the trip was on a cruise ship on the Nile, and I had worked out a deal with the bartender guy, and he would sell me bottles. He's like, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm like, I was like, I'll just bring it back to my cabin. I'm like, I'm not just gonna stand.
I'm not gonna be a
drinks.
dumbass.
Yeah, but now to your question though about if we were scared, no, I wasn't really scared. It was interesting being around an all Muslim culture.
Yeah.
I wasn't really worried about anything. But the funny thing was, the first day we were there,
More along the lines of culture shock.
we went to bed, and I woke up and found out there was a bombing right outside our hotel room. Or not our room, but outside of our hotel.
Wow.
A bus bombing of tourists.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, we're going to be traveling by bus this whole trip. So I don't even think they requested it but everywhere we went, the entire trip, we had police escorts driving alongside of our bus everywhere we went.
Wow.
And supposedly after that happened, I can't say, for sure that this happened, but from what they say, that within like 24 hours, Egyptian authorities got rid of 12 people in retaliation for that bus bombing.
Wow.
Who was responsible for it?
Some group,
Just terrorist group or something?
some group who didn't like.
So was that
people.
just thought in the back of your head the rest of the trip?
I didn't really worry about it,
That's cool.
honestly, because the people we were traveling with, like our tour guide Muhammad Ibrahim.
I wanted to ask you about him because it seemed like that he was just an amazing guy. I saw from
Dude.
one of your posts, so I wanted you to talk about him a little bit too.
That guy is. It was overwhelming because all the sites we went to, he would take you around and tell you all about everything. He would, take you up to this and show you, explain everything. But I was so overwhelmed visually with being there and seeing all this that every time we'd get to a site, I would just wander off with my camera and just start taking pictures.
I think I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, and I just kind of was like off in my own world, just taking pictures and just like checking shit out. But the funny thing is every site you go to, they always have tons of locals hanging out, and they'll see you off by yourself and they'll be like, hey, come here, I'll show you. And then they'll try and take you and show you things that your tour guide's not going to show you, and then they'll want a tip.
Yeah.
It's like everything's about tips. Like
I'd be worried it'd
Did
be
you try
like
that a few
coyotes,
times?
man. Pull you away from the pack.
Yeah, I did. I went with one of the dudes, and he just showed me a couple things. I'm like, yeah, okay, and I gave him.
It wasn't even
bucks.
cool.
It wasn't anything. Wasn't anything better than what we were seeing. I mean, that's the good thing about going on a tour like that is when you go, like, there's so many different groups that you can go on tours with in Egypt. I think it's 50% of the population there works in tourism.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So there's so many options, but
It's also another reason why they want to keep tourists safe.
yeah, for sure, and they do. I wouldn't go on the trip without how we did it. After going and seeing how things work, it just would have been stress. Trying to navigate and get to places, we wouldn't have seen half the shit we did had we not been with someone who Muhammad is so well respected there. Like, he knows all the locals, all the authorities. Like, so when we go to these sites, we got so much access to things that normal tourists don't get to. When you go to the Sphinx, they have, the Sphinx is down in its enclosure, and then they have way up at the top, there's like this kind of gated area that's where tourists go and look at it from. But our last day there, we got this private access to the Sphinx where we got to go in the enclosure. I got to touch the Sphinx all over.
Wow.
And it was really cool because Dr. Schoch's been going there for 30 plus years. And there's this hole on the back side of the Sphinx, and they always have it covered up. And while we were there, we were walking around, and one of the security guys who works the site, he came over and he pulled it aside, and he was like, to let us look in. And we were like, holy shit, because Dr. Schoch has never even looked in there. All the times he's been there.
Is this the one on top on the back?
No.
Okay.
It's on the ground.
Okay, yeah.
I actually have video of
Is
it.
this... correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there some type of tunnel that they tried to... A group within the past, couple hundred years thought that they could tunnel into the Sphinx?
Oh, there's tunnels.
Yeah. Into the Sphinx, right?
They actually...
Did you go in them?
No.
Why? Because they're blocked off from the public, or
they just it's not something they let people in. So there's this girl. Since I've come back from Egypt, I've befriended so many people on Facebook who are like all up in Egyptology and doing things.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This
A
one
community.
Yeah, for sure. And this one girl, she's doing a documentary over there, and she must have some pull because she posted pictures recently of her and Dr. Zahi Hawass.
That dude's a scumbag.
And they went in.
Really?
That hole I'm talking about in the Sphinx, and they went in and fucking navigated around, because there's a tunnel that goes up into the tail, and there's another tunnel that goes into the body.
Yeah. And there's those two things that are on top. There's like these tunnels or holes that are on top. One on the backside, I think, and one towards the shoulders that they used to put these poles in or something.
Who does have access to this stuff though? Just like the Egyptian
that's why
government or something?
Well,
or
there's certain...
Dr. Zahi Hawass.
Is there someone that's in charge of like this
you're
whole
saying
thing?
it right.
Okay.
Nick, yeah.
Is this guy?
It used to be Dr. Zahi Hawass, and I heard that after, because Zahi Hawass was like the head of Egypt archaeology, and if you wanted to do anything archaeological, you had to go through him.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking scumbag, from what I hear, because he lies about a lot of stuff, and he fights a lot of like sayings because he doesn't want it to move away from the whole Egypt and mummies and da da da. He wants to keep it about Egypt and the mummies, and you know what I mean, instead of the fucking craziness. But he got caught up in a lot of pay for play type stuff.
It's funny you say that, because like there's a lot of questions I had after going to Egypt where I'm like, how much of these things are done up for tourists?
Exactly.
For sure.
Because like when we went to the Valley of the Kings, when we go into the tombs there, I never asked to confirm. I probably should have, but if they're not repainting in there, I don't know how the fuck they did it, because the paint in there, the colors are so vibrant. It's like it was done yesterday.
Are you talking about like hieroglyphics or just regular paint?
It's specifically in the Valley of the Kings. Like we went into like a few different the King Ramses tombs. I was pissed because I wanted to go in King Tut's tomb, and that was like the one I was looking forward to.
Weren't they excavating at that time looking for what's her name's tomb off the side of it?
They suspect, and there may be new information, I don't know, but at the last I heard, they suspected that his father is in a chamber right behind his, and it was blocked off, and they got permission to start going in. They started going, and then they were told to stop.
And Nefertiti is his stepmother or something, right?
It's all inbred, man.
Oh,
that's the crazy thing. Akhenaten's his father, Nefertiti's his mother.
Akhenaten was a fucking weird dude.
Yeah, Akhenaten is his dad and his grandpa.
Could you imagine if they found that dude and they were able to find the bones? Because a lot of people, getting into the alien stuff, a lot of people look at some of the depictions of that Akhenaten dude, and he is a weird looking dude. He almost looks like he
looks very alien.
His head is like elongated.
But you know, a lot of that I think might have to do with inbreeding, because like I said,
what are these, just based off of drawings off of the hieroglyphics and shit like that?
Yeah,
and his head looks remarkably different than any other.
It's not just like an exaggeration of the drawing?
No,
because
every
there's
drawing.
Statues too.
Oh, statues.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, there's statues.
Yeah.
There's so much shit, man.
And he was the guy that changed from the theory of the gods to being, to the theory of Ra, which just being the sun,
just being a monotheistic or whatever. Yeah, and that was, I think, a lot of the controversy surrounding that dynasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was crazy, just though, that he got his daughter pregnant, and that's how King Tut came about, and that's why he had all the deformities and shit. But there's so much secrecy around him, because like when you go to the museum, the Egyptian museum, they never used to let people take pictures and videos, but now you can pay. Like most of the sites too, you have to pay for a pass to be able to take pictures and videos. So now that's the case with the Egyptian museum. When you go there, you can pay. And you don't have to, but you can do that, and we did. But when you get to the King Tut room, I walked in, I wasn't paying attention. I just walked in and started fucking taking pictures. This guy comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, give me that." And I'm like, "No, I'm not giving you my phone." But he was like, "No pictures." I was like, "All right." I didn't see the sign on the way in that said "no pictures."
And that thing is toured by itself around the world, right? A lot of those items in that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. That goes on tour, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw that at the fair last year.
Yeah, I don't know how at the state fair.
Yeah.
Really?
At the state fair, they had a
bunch
Egyptian
of items
exhibit, and they had all kinds of crazy shit.
There's so much artifacts too, and that's the thing, because like his tomb was. They kept referring to it like a New York storage locker, because it was just packed full of shit.
Plundered too.
Yeah, and there's so much. And his particular sarcophagus or whatever you want to call it. People are going to watch this and be like, this guy's trying to talk on Egypt and he doesn't know shit.
We're just a bunch of fucking stoners talking. It's all
Yeah,
good.
no, but he would, because his sarcophagus was in like 5 different boxes. It was like him inside a box, inside
Yes.
a box, inside a box, and they had those. At the
And wasn't
No,
there
I
a
don't know what
lead
that is.
one
What
too?
the fuck is a sarcophagus?
So it's just a
Sarcophagus.
stone,
What the fuck you saying?
a stone enclosure that has a lid,
Oh.
and then inside that is another one, and inside that's another one, and he'd be in. It's kind of like a Russian doll.
And what was he using?
Well,
this for?
that's. I mean, a sarcophagus itself is just what they would put someone in when they're putting them in their tomb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Almost like a
a
coffin.
coffin.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Like in
But
a,
his was all elaborate because
Yeah.
it was like he said, like the Russian doll box
Yeah.
where it's just like one inside the other, and it's fucking
And
weird.
I believe
That is
one of
weird.
them was like lead lined.
Yeah, they're all like gold and
And see, the Egyptians knew about the properties, a lot of those electrical properties to a lot of these materials, thousands of years before, and the people found out about it in whatever, Victorian England or whenever they started really getting into it. They were creating, there's Egyptian, quote unquote, Egyptian batteries out there where they've, shown
like
basically,
Duracell.
yeah, you know what I mean. Swear to God, it looks like a battery, and they have the materials in there, that would be to create the energy. But that's one of the things, is that there's always been something around Egypt with energy storage or energy dispersal,
and that they were dealing with electricity, and that's what a lot of people talk about with the hieroglyphs with the light bulbs.
Yes.
That was at Dendera, I believe.
Yeah, the Dendera. Yeah, those are
Dendera
crazy.
light, yeah.
But does Dr. Schoch talk about at all about the craziness that's kind of surrounded his field lately? Does he like it? Does he think it's causing problems? Did he say anything about that? I mean, did you guys get a chance to talk to him about stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few personal conversations with him, just like one-on-one talking about shit. But as far as like his views on all the controversy that goes on with that, he seems to kind of lay back from it. He's like, the people who know my work know what I believe. They know.
that.
Yeah, they know my views. There was one of the days we were on the bus, and him and I were sitting together and just talking, and I was asking him some questions about, like just some of the projects he was involved in and stuff. And I had mentioned the Pyramid Code, and I thought it was funny because he's like super, like you were saying, soft spoken and everything. Like he's super humble.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't like play into like the
badass that he is.
Yeah, for real. I mean, he really is just such a down to earth cool guy. But I was talking to him and I was like, so what are your thoughts on all the theories that went on in the Pyramid Code? I was like, he kind of laughed. He was like, I heard I'm in that. I was like, you haven't watched it? I was like, don't you care to see how you were portrayed in this documentary? And he was like, that's when he said to me, he's like, the people who know my work know what I believe. And, it's...
That's badass.
How did they portray him in that?
To be honest with you, man, it's been years since I watched it.
Oh.
I don't even remember.
I don't think he gets much screen time, does
And
he?
I don't think he's in it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting documentary, and that's
I don't
why
know what that documentary is.
it's actually pretty interesting where they talk about the pyramids being like energy machines, like where one was black, one was white, one was red. And I actually asked Muhammad about that, and if I remember correctly, he did say that was accurate as far as them being those colors originally.
Wow.
Which trips me out, man.
Red,
Yeah.
white, and what else?
Black.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
But with that shit you were saying, where it was like kind of like a mirror.
Limestone.
Yeah.
Or limestone,
Yeah,
yeah.
just shiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
well,
That's
they would have.
fucking- that's
They probably would have
crazy.
used something to paint them or something like that, or
I
some
don't-
type of, I don't know.
Some type of
Who
dye.
knows?
I don't fucking know.
blood.
The craziest one, though, I mean, to get away from Egypt just for a second, that's causing everybody that, over the last couple decades, 20 years, to go crazy is Göbekli Tepe. And it's this area in Turkey where they excavated it many years ago and didn't think much about it. And then I think they re-excavated it, and
They've done some things to it, like they put a whole enclosure over it and everything, and
Yeah.
it kind of changed things. Dr. Schoch was actually just there the other month, like a month ago or so. he's doing. I wanted to get on the tour to go to that because
Yeah.
he's doing a tour in June, I think, to go.
And he's one of the main people that kind of has come out and done a lot of the work on Göbekli Tepe to say this place is so much older than we thought. They think it's 100,000 years old.
Yeah, it's old.
And that is blows away anything even close to it
In
that
Turkey,
they know.
you said?
Yeah, in Turkey. And
Turkey's supposed to be amazing.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
It's got to be a wild place.
And the history that has happened there over a long period of time, a couple thousand years, is ridiculous. I mean,
Right.
it was part of the Romans. It had civilization there during Egyptian times. I mean, the Church Empire. I mean, it was like ground zero for most of that time period. So I imagine they have pyramids in Turkey too, right? I mean, I think it's in Turkey. There's somewhere in Eastern Europe that has them.
Didn't they just fucking discover pyramids in
Bosnia.
Mexico
There's
underground?
pyramids everywhere.
That's the
With all
thing.
the lasers and shit they
So-
have now, all this
so-
technology, I feel like they're discovering them all over the world
So
now.
that's what's so crazy about Egypt, not just Egypt, pyramids in general. Think about it. I mean, they have areas all around the world, multiple, every continent probably has large
hidden pyramids.
pyramid-shaped structures that all look similar, that are like done with massive stones, sometimes multiple tons. You know what I mean? And all, how does that information jump from continent to continent? Not only
That's
do they
true.
have the pyramids, there's like these weird protrusions on large Neolithic structures, like what's that wall in South America with the big ones that you can't fit the paper through?
I suck with names.
Yeah, I bet, dude. It's cannabis, bro. Cannabis.
That could be your gender. What is it?
It's Teotihuacan or something like
That
that.
sounds right. You
Tiwanaku or something like that.
said- bring-
Tiwanaku.
Just you gotta access
Yeah.
your inner Giorgio Tsoukalos.
I hate that fucking guy.
Do you?
Yeah, he drives me crazy, dude. I just want to I want to cut his hair, man.
Yeah, he's interesting.
He's a weirdo, man. He's weird. I don't know.
I like
He's
his
just-
enthusiasm for it.
I get it.
because
yeah.
I fully believe in extraterrestrials. I do.
Oh, of course.
I had an experience when I lived in New York.
Let's talk about that.
Hell yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that was.
How old were you?
I was 14. It was 90. So no, I was 13 or 14, whatever. 93. Where I lived in New York was a little town called Mayapack, and there was a lake right across the street from my house. And my buddy Paul and we were sitting out in the driveway in the bed of my dad's pickup truck, just bullshitting and watching just like crazy meteor shower going on. And he was like talking about how he had never seen a shooting star before. So I was like, really? It's like, we got a rowboat across the street. Let's go out onto the lake because we'll get a better view of the sky. So we rode, it was probably about midnight at that point. We rode out to the middle of the lake and we're chilling out there. It was the fucking starriest night I've ever seen, man. It was crazy. Like the sky was just a sheet of stars. And there was just meteor shower, just like I've never seen before. And we're chilling in the boat. Just he's laying in one section, I'm laying in the other. We're looking up at the sky, and we start talking about UFOs because my brothers had said they had seen something over the lake like a few months before or whatever. So we start talking about that, and there's planes going over, and we're just being turds. We're like, oh, there's a UFO, being dumb. The whole lake's surrounded with trees, okay? And we're sitting there, and Paul points off to the east, and he's like, hey, Nick, there's a UFO. And I was like, oh, derp, whatever. And I fucking look over there, and I see these three lights way up in the sky, like as high up as a plane. So I'm like, there's two lights on the outside, one brighter, one in the middle. And I'm convinced of a couple things after that night. And one of them is they definitely have the ability to bend time, because it went from as high up as a plane to right above the tree line in an instant. Like there was no you didn't see any fast movement. It didn't shoot over.
Are these dots, or you're actually seeing like a craft?
Well, at that point it was the lights in the sky, but when it got to the tree line, it was this giant fucking craft.
What?
And we're out in the middle of the lake, and this bright light flashes on us. And I start rowing. I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? Because the tree line's not that high, and it's right above the trees. So I start rowing, and apparently I'm not rowing fast enough, and Paul pushes me out of the way, and he starts rowing, and I'm like, fucking row. And
That'd be scary as fuck.
Dude, that's all I'm thinking about. I don't know if I'd be able to, man.
But where it came in was where we had to go to, because where my house was where like it came, like where it came in from the sky to the tree line was right over where we had to go to bring the boat. So we're crossing paths with this thing, and it's just cruising right over our heads. And I'm not shitting you. It was probably about 75 feet above us, maybe 100 feet. It was lower than 100 feet. This shit was close. And it was just a huge craft. It wasn't perfectly round like you always hear flying saucers. It was kind of edged like a stop sign. Not the shape of a stop sign, but edged like that. And just lights coming out of all weird angles on the bottom, and all you could hear was this vibration humming sound. There was just very little sound, just this just hovering, cruising over the lake. And we're just looking straight up at the bottom of this thing, and we get to the shore, and it's just still cruising. We're just standing there watching it, 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot out, just watching this thing cruising to the other side of the lake. And on the other side of the lake, there's nothing but woods back there. Like there's like a little bit of houses, and then right past that, there's just woods for miles. And it landed, and we fucking ran in the house, and we were just freaking out. And that, you know, it was midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning at that point. And probably about 1 in the morning anyways. And I go up and I start banging on my parents' door, and I'm trying to tell them what the fuck we just saw, and they're like, oh, it's nothing, go to bed. I'm like, it's not fucking nothing. I go back out into the living room, and Paul's just sitting on the couch flipping through the channels on the TV. I'm like, dude, we got to go back outside. That thing's going to take off, and we'll get to see it again. He's like, yeah, totally. I was like, yeah, we need to do that. And I walk over and sit down on the couch, and he's just flipping through the channels, and we just kept talking about going back outside. We never went back out.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
So I don't know if there was some form of mind control. They're like, you saw enough. Get inside and watch your TV.
I'm surprised you didn't have any missing time.
I don't recall any kind of missing time. I'm not saying that bright light that flashed on us was any kind of abduction or any shit like that, but...
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what that was.
That obviously made you 100% convinced.
Well, yeah, because being that far away in the sky, and for them to come, we saw them, and because they came right to us.
You know what?
It's a very rural area.
But just to throw this out there, it couldn't have been some type of military project, or there's no military bases over there.
No. And the crazy part about it. Go ahead. Well, I don't mean to cut you off, man.
Well,
yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say real quick. One of the things that I it seems like they're getting a lot of credible information lately, and when I say credible, I mean credible to me. Me and Nick have talked about these things before. You know, we're both big fans of these type of things. You know, fringe, coast to coast AM type shit. You know, and so you have to learn to separate the wheat from the chaff for people who are credible in this field. And from a lot of the people who I consider credible, they're coming to find that there's something about intuition and UFO phenomena. And what I mean by that is when you put it out there that, hey, let's go see some UFOs, there's something about being able to pull them in. Does that sound crazy? Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what's crazy about that?
I think there's a lot of people that want to see it so bad, and that never happens.
Well,
like you.
Well, I think I've seen something. I had almost the same exact type event.
You gotta get those green lights Stephen Greer has.
I know. It's funny. Some of that shit scares me, man. Because listen, Tom DeLonge is a fucking his Joe Rogan
penis.
He is. And don't get me wrong, I can't stand him. He drives me crazy. But he's got some people on that side of him. You know, Hal Puthoff. He's got those. I'm not a big fan of Luis Elizondo. Is that his name? The A-tip guy. I think it's Luis Elizondo. I'm not a big fan of him. But those pilots that flew those Super Hornets that got that Guncraft video, those guys are some credible fucking people. They're flying around multi-million-dollar planes.
Right.
I mean, the government's not going to put something like that, a super weapon, in their hands if they're not credible people.
Yeah, and I don't deny that they have credible stories for sure.
And a lot of people are saying that for some reason there's an intuition thing with some of these things that they're calling aliens, right? I can get really crazy into this, that, you know, maybe some of these things could be different type beings, you know, or different, there's multiple things that is visiting us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't take any drugs that night.
No, that was before I did. I don't even think I had smoked weed at that point. Well, I wasn't on anything that night, I can tell you that for sure. Nothing.
I'm not saying I don't believe you.
Yeah, no.
So you
sure.
and you said your brother saw it too, right?
Not. I was with my friend Paul.
Oh, your friend
night.
Paul. Sorry.
The shit, my brother.
But he had seen something.
He had seen
before.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
also my cousin who lived 2 doors down from us. He was in his house one night and felt everything start vibrating, and he went out on his patio, and there was this craft just hovering over his backyard, and he yelled for his wife to come out, and before she got out there, the thing just shot off. And
That's
was
like my
gone.
worst nightmare ever since that show Sightings on Friday nights. I used to go to bed at night scared to death that a UFO was going to be out my window and just abduct me.
Well, I
And
got a crazy
and then
story
also,
about that.
Also, what's that movie with the dude from Snowflake?
Fire
Close
in the
Encounter.
Sky.
That fucking movie scared the shit out of me. I know
Close
that.
Encounter.
I know that movie's not
Well,
factual, but when you watch that as a kid, that was scary as
Is,
fuck.
Something
is
that-
it factual? I mean, those guys have done a bunch of lie detector tests. Not
No,
that,
no, no,
not that I
no,
think
I'm not
they-
talking
the
about,
event's factual, just not how the movie said it happened.
Portrayed
Gotcha,
him.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But
A lot of Hollywood.
you
Right.
talk about that fear, and
and
this
the
is
abduction
crazy.
is way off.
This is crazy. Me and my brother have this story.
Well, I wanted to ask you about your
Yeah.
sighting.
So, okay. So I have a sighting story. When I was about 13 or 14, I had almost the same exact
I never
shit.
heard this.
So I have a good friend that lives in Oklahoma.
Joe?
At the time, he was living in Lawton, Oklahoma, Jared.
Sure.
And so they have this lake out there called Lake Foss. It's a massive fucking lake. It's one of the biggest lakes in the country. You know what I mean? And his grandparents, we would go up in summers and hang out there for a couple weeks at a time, and we'd just go fishing every night. And we would get on a fucking little rowboat and go in the middle of this fucking lake and just
That's
fish
What the
best,
fuck?
man.
in the middle of the night.
That's
and
the best, dude.
Dude, the sky is just like you said. In the big lake, you can see everything.
Yeah.
You can see multiple satellites
He's
at
just
once.
ripping off your story. I
No,
don't
no,
believe
hold
all
on.
of You
Hold
lying
on.
motherfucker.
So we're out there,
Same
and
story.
no, it's almost the same. I swear to God, dude. And so we're talking about UFOs, same fucking thing. And all of a sudden, we weren't seeing anything at the time, nothing.
Right.
But we're just talking about UFOs because we saw. You can tell satellites. Satellites are very easy to tell. They're very slow. They have an arc to them. So
Right.
we're like, man, what if we saw you? And all of a sudden, I swear to God, you see this. It's very small though. We saw nothing close.
Deja vu.
And it was a red light, and the red light, or sorry, a white light, and it just was going like this, but very fast. And then it started going like this, back and forth.
Was
And
this
then
a dot or a
It was a
craft?
dot.
Okay.
And it just stopped in the middle of the sky after being erratic, and it just stopped. I swear to God, 3 red lights shoot out of it, but in a like if one went this way and 2 went like that, like a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
That thing took off, and those 3 red lights just went across the horizon and disappeared. And I mean, we didn't freak out and row back to the thing, but we were like, was that fucking real? Did we just see that? Was that fucking real?
Mm-hmm.
So that, I swear to God, that is my only like seeing thing that might be a UFO. But a couple years later, no, I think it might have been before then.
With the one with your brother?
Yeah, me and my brother, it was when we were like, I was probably like 12 or 13. My brother was probably 8. And I remember it was like a dream, but it felt realer than real. And I remember the dream was I'm asleep in my bed, and I just open my eyes, and I had 2 windows in my room and at the front of the house. And you see a light, a big light, and I saw figures of what looked like small beings with big heads. That's all I saw, I swear to God.
What the fuck?
And I remember saying to myself,
You and your brother?
no, it's just me in my room, and then my brother has another room.
But what you're trying to say is you don't know if this is a dream.
So
or
I don't know if it's a dream, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I can't move, okay? I just not able to move. And I remember telling myself, breathe loud so somebody might hear you breathing. And I remember trying to breathe loud. That sounds crazy, but
You told me something like that happened to you before with that.
Yeah. And so it's like that's what I get that sleep paralysis stuff. And every time I do it, that's what I try to do.
Paralysis.
Yeah,
that's
I try to breathe loud. And I know
that sounds like
it's
horrifying.
horrible. It is horrifying. And I remember seeing those things, and then as soon as I remember feeling that, I woke up. And so
and your butt was sore.
No.
He had a message from them to watch Pornhub.
So then the next morning I'm eating a bowl of cereal. I'm out. And it's like
he's like, ow.
And my brother comes out, and my mom's sitting next to me. I go, I had the craziest dream last night about aliens. And my brother goes, shut up. I go, I swear to God. He goes, dude, I had a dream that they were outside our window. And I go, last night? He goes, yes. I go, tell me your dream. Same exact dream. I swear to fucking God. He'll tell you the same thing. Same exact dream.
Detector tests.
But that intuition thing, though, same thing kind of like happened when we were on the lake. We were talking about UFOs, and then a UFO came. I've had the same problem where we were talking about UFOs one time, and all out of nowhere in the middle of the night, a fucking sonic boom.
It's the same problem.
They're just gonna show up. They're just gonna show up.
We should add an effect of that.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
I always have this problem.
Oh my God! But
no, that's crazy.
Do you got any more weed going?
Yeah.
Smoke some. I brought some too.
Oh, we got some blunts and shit, bro.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not sharing though.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
You want to smoke half a blunt?
Sure.
I wish I had a.
It's
Well,
right in
actually,
front
I
of
don't wish I had an experience like that.
Back. There you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, I never. Other than that, I've never. And I'm
You've never told me either of those two stories.
I've told you those
I don't
stories.
think so.
I've told you the stories. I know I have.
I just remember you sitting in my backyard, and fucking looking for UFOs.
That's what every time at night I go outside on my eyes, and the reason I do that is because I say the only way you're gonna see them is if you're looking for them.
Didn't you see something through those crazy ass Honeywell goggles, or no?
No. Oh, so here's the story about those crazy ass night vision goggles. So I was doing work on the fighter planes that go and refuel in the air. Mm-hmm. They refuel. They have to send out one of those pipes from the tanker, and then those fighter planes have to get close enough to it to engage it, and to get, when they get close to it, they have these arrows that are telling them a little bit this way, or a little bit this way, or a little bit this way, or a little bit this way, and they use infrared for those signals, so you can only see them through their masks, I think, on the tanker, right? So we were having to test out those infrared things, those pieces, for a new version of it. And they sent out a guy with a pair of super high-tech military-grade night vision goggles just to verify while we were testing it that those things were working. And he's like, yeah, do you want to see? And we're like, yeah. And every time I get a chance to ask one of these fuckers, I do it. I go, have you ever taken these out and fucking looked up into the sky? Because I know the stories. And he goes, oh yeah. I go, you ever see anything weird? He goes, oh yeah. And I was like, like what? He's like, you see fucking things that look like they are having fights, like dog fights.
Fucking in the sky.
It's crazy, dude. It's like
I've seen videos of those goggles on YouTube.
Yeah, and you'll see things that look like triangles with 5 points of light flying and perfect. And then when you take off the goggles, you can't fucking see them.
Or anything like that?
No, fuck no. Not especially. Satellites don't move. They stay on one course.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to remember that. But hey, when you said could it be military stuff, it totally could be military stuff, because the military's got that X-plane, the X-37 or whatever it is, that is a non-manned space plane. But basically it gets up into atmosphere, and then when you're in, or gets out of atmosphere into space, you're going at people think that you're just floating in space. You're not. You're flying at least 17,500 miles per hour. Because if you don't, you're falling out of the sky. That's the only reason that it looks like you're floating, because you're going around with it. You're still moving.
Yeah.
So think how fast those fucking things are going. You can't so they send these fucking planes up there, and in orbit, they're moving around the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. At any point, they can drop out of orbit, hit a target, go back up into orbit.
So you think these planes are just like on standby out there for shit goes down?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that I don't think we have a ton, but we've been testing at least one for probably almost close to a decade now. I mean, the public's only known about it for like maybe 5 or 6 years. So I don't know. It's crazy shit. I can go off on a tangent on that stuff, but so let's get back to fucking Egypt.
Yeah.
So how I saw that the effect of the
Can I get your lighter key?
statue of, was it the Sekhmet?
Yeah, that
So what was that?
statue was.
What was that like?
Yeah, man, we saw so many statues and columns and shit and hieroglyphs, but that statue, man, I don't know what it was. It has a weird effect, and apparently, because so many things get moved around and renovated and shit there, it's really, I didn't know that. Like,
Have they been anything destroyed because of the religious fervor?
like back then, you mean?
No, now,
Or
like
recent?
yeah, because you know
Not
how
that I know of.
Okay, good, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of those groups, like the Islamic fascist groups
Right.
are destroying,
Yeah,
Are they protected?
They're pretty well protected. I don't think that kind of shit happens.
and it's like you said, it's their livelihood. So
Then again, people fucked on top of the pyramid, so
yeah, really,
yeah, you didn't see that?
uh-uh.
That couple that scaled the pyramid and they had sex on the top. and
Good
took
for
pictures.
them. Wow.
That's pretty intense.
And then they got their
Wow.
heads chopped off.
Now they actually, they
got away with it?
Yeah. I mean, the footage is on the internet, so
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the ultimate fucking Pornhub video.
it's crazy how many people climb that thing.
I'm
I wouldn't
surprised.
want to. I mean, I want to, but at the same time, I'm like,
You're ruining it.
I want to know more about the little notch up in the side of the pyramid. There's a room up there.
Yeah.
And I saw a documentary where dude went in it. But when I asked Muhammad about it, he's like, you can't even fit inside it. And I'm like, I don't know. I watched that documentary. The guy went in. Saw a video of it.
So I know there's a lot of shit blocked off that you can't see. What do you guys think that it's inside of these spots that are being not shown to the public?
I mean, it depends. A lot of it's under renovation. Like when we went to the step.
Also, that's the reason why you can't go. It's not because
it really depends. I mean, there was one room we went in at the Osirian temple.
Can you post a little bit closer again? I'm
Yeah, sorry, dude. I moved it forward when I picked up.
It's all good.
There was one room we went in the Osirian temple that apparently John Anthony West never even got the chance to go in because it was filled with all this trash and debris, like tons of it. And they got all that cleaned out, and we got to go in there, and it was crazy. There's like hieroglyphs on the ceiling and shit, but like one of the sides of the room just was full of bats all over the ceiling. So you couldn't really go over there because it's just bat guano everywhere.
I've heard about that. And I think it was a Robert Schoch video I saw where they had recently found this tunnel by looking through old maps of the old city. And they found this tunnel that has something to do with linking all the pyramids to the Sphinx underground. And it
Yeah,
used
there's like aquifers or some
Yeah.
shit.
and they were full of bats.
You know what's funny, dude, is I meant
Mummified bats.
There was things like that I meant to ask about when I was there, and I was just so overwhelmed with everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot to take in. You got to do
Dude,
2
it
trips
was-
there, huh?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's something I want to do a second time. He's Muhammad's actually doing a tour in October, I believe, with Cliff Dunning. I believe is his name. He's another like relevant Egypt guy. We were talking about going on that, but
I
Didn't
It
you
would
go?
be-
Wait.
go ahead.
Didn't you go down one of those crazy tunnels?
yeah, I mean, we went.
And there was all that bat guano you was talking about.
Well, yeah, that was the Red Pyramid. The Red Pyramid, when we went there, that was the first pyramid we went in, and I posted a video of my coming out of it, because when you go into them, that's the thing I didn't know about the pyramids before we went there. I thought you just like walked in. I didn't.
I'm sorry, dude. Can you pull it again?
Yeah.
Way closer. There you go.
Is
Oh
that
yeah,
better?
on your face. It's got a touch on it. The last guest had corona, so
Yeah.
All right,
Just kidding.
good. Big and black.
Yeah.
No.
yeah. So yeah, you just thought you could. It's just you go there and just all access.
Yeah. I mean, like most of the shit we did, we had private access to, where like other
people
tourists.
weren't around.
Yeah, and we had like blocked times. Like when we did that Sphinx thing, and it was like the pyramids and the Sphinx. We had like a 3-hour block of no one else was allowed in there. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, when you go into the pyramid though, you have to go down these narrow shafts, and they're fucking long.
And you have to like hunch over.
Hunch way the fuck down, and
even I couldn't imagine walking up those things, let alone down those things.
You know what motivated me? There was a dude on our tour. There were so many awesome people in our tour group, but this one guy, he was like 80 years old.
When you see old people doing crazy shit, that motivates you.
Yeah, I'm like, if he's doing it,
yeah,
I got this.
Yeah.
Dude,
So-
there's this fucking 90-year-old lady that fucking lives here, and she'll walk up and down the street to the fucking grocery
It's
store,
so
and I'm just
badass.
like, and I'm bitching about shit, and I'm like, I gotta get my shit together.
Right,
What the
right.
fuck? So I know what you're saying.
No, it's impressive, man. That guy blew my mind. He did everything.
You're all wanting to puss out.
Dude,
You're
like we were on the go so much, we actually sat out one day, and I'm pissed off that we did because we missed a really badass site called Abu Simbel.
Never heard of it.
It's retarded. Like, I wish I had not sat out that day.
You're just tired.
Yeah, dude, we were just on the go so much. Like,
Yeah.
our flight there was like 36
Oh
hours.
my god.
That's what I couldn't do, dude.
Like, we flew from Phoenix to New York to Dubai, Dubai to Cairo. And we were in Cairo for 5 days. And then we took a plane from Cairo to Sohag, however you say it. And from Sohag, we took a bus down to Luxor and hit a few places on the way down to Luxor. Then when we got to Luxor, we boarded a Nile River cruise for
That's
like
cool.
6 or 7 days or something. So we were on a boat, staying on the boat for like 6 or 7 days. And we just went to all these different places along the Nile River.
That's fucking cool.
Dude, like, it was just overload though. Like,
Yeah.
it was non-stop. So like after
Get jet lag and shit, probably.
yeah, I mean, I forget what day it was, but whatever, it was.
What's on
probably-
that thing?
This was like our itinerary of all the places that we went, and like each day what we did.
Oh damn.
So it's just
Like, what are some of those places?
day one was just arrival shit. Day 2 was Giza Plateau.
That's
and-
the pyramids.
Yeah, but that was we just did a basic tour that day and just checked them out. We didn't go in or go up. We checked out the Sphinx from the normal spot where people check it out from, and went to a couple different places around the Giza Plateau. The next day we went to Saqqara and Dashur, which we went to. There's a really cool place that we went in Dashur, it was Saqqara. It was called the Serapeum or something like that. So much shit I'm gonna mispronounce, but it's like this whole underground. It's like an underground bunker, and
For water?
no, man, I could show you pictures of it. It's crazy because like it's these long tunnels, and every few feet there's these huge just big opening, just enclosure things, and they have these giant, what look like giant sarcophaguses, but for what, I don't fucking know, with these huge massive lids on them, and they're all the way down. It's like super long, man. If I showed you the video and pictures of it, you'd be like, what the like
Yeah,
not sure what it was for.
Giants fucking living in those things, man. What the fuck?
They were storing something in there. I don't know what, but
That's a lot of grain.
it was something. There's people who speculate all kinds of shit what they were storing in there. I don't know, but it was just weird, man. Just all the size of these things. It was crazy.
That is fucking.
This is Mohammed takes you through all of this.
Yeah. And that guy's just.
And how many people are in the group?
40.
That's not bad.
No.
And you kind of bond with them and shit.
Dude, we had some of the most amazing people
That's
in
cool.
that group. There was just doctors, archaeologists,
People
That's
you're
awesome.
staying in touch with? Anybody you're
Directors.
still talking to?
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's this one couple that I really bonded with from South Africa. She the wife she owns like the South African equivalent of Sephora. It's like a bunch of like beauty supplies, and he's an engineer. But they were just super awesome people, man. We met so many great people on that tour.
That's
like,
fucking that's cool.
I felt like the dumbass. There was just so many smart people, just like highly educated with degrees and shit, and I'm like, I'm just a dude here who likes Egypt.
They don't care, dude.
Yeah.
They don't. And,
Everyone's people.
yeah, I mean, and you know, we were all able to bullshit. One of the dudes on the tour, Rob Nealand, he's been working on his theory and kind of what he's bringing to the table with all of this with the Sphinx, and he made this whole sculpture. He's a sculptor. He's actually an ice sculptor. He's like a world-renowned ice sculptor.
Wow.
You can look up his shit online. He actually he brought a few like printed portraits that he had of like photography of his work that he's done to give to a few people he bonded with on the tour, and he gave me one. And dude, his work is insane. It's so crazy. But he's doing this Sphinx sculpture, and
he wanted to see it in person.
Yeah, and he's kind of basing it off this picture that he saw, this aerial view photo of the Sphinx that shows this. There's this like kind of a protrusion hump behind the head, and he believes that that was where it was carved down from, and that it used to be this lioness head. Some people suspect that it may have been an Anubis head. So,
What do you think, McClay?
I think it was a lion.
I go with lion.
Yeah. And I think the reason why is because it was from the Sphinx was probably made during when that area was more lush green valleys, and there were lions there at the time.
And I think that has to do with the cat being so sacred with them as well.
Yep. Exactly.
Before we wrap and stuff, I wanted to talk about is it cool to talk about your skincare?
CBD stuff, the skincare is just kind of
Yeah,
something
Nice
we're
Dreams
revamping.
CBD?
Yeah.
Yeah. So fucking what's up with that shit?
I mean, we have a whole line of nano CBD products.
That's fucking badass,
Yeah.
dude.
When did you start that?
About a little over a year ago.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah. Yeah, we have like 6 different kinds of gummies, couple sublingual oils. We've got some vape cartridges, multivitamins, melatonin.
And so,
wow.
are you working with like a farm or something?
Yeah, we have a couple companies that we work with to manufacture products.
And then, do you guys manufacture the products, or do you guys
Ourselves? No.
Yeah,
No, we have the products manufactured for us for like our formulas for what we
That's awesome.
want to have.
So how do people buy your products? You have a
Online
site?
mostly. We're in some stores around town.
Aren't you in the Maynard store? Or?
We had our skincare products in the
okay.
Pussifer store for
That's
a
cool.
while. Yeah. But no, we don't have the CBD products in there. We have, our products we have in a few stores around town, like smoke shops and stuff.
What made you decide to want to get into
Well,
the
just really quick, what's the website?
nicedreams.com.
Nicedreams.com.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
So what made you want to get into the CBD stuff?
It's something I can relate to. I know cannabis works in so many great ways. So,
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that getting into the THC products is so involved.
Yeah, it's a lot
know
of
what I
extra
mean?
work, which it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, but that's kind of why I wanted to start with CBDs and establish that, and I want to eventually work into doing THC products.
Hell yeah. They need to just hurry up and give us the opportunity to just be legalized.
Well, it's funny that you brought that up because I wanted to actually talk about that because this whole shit that's going on right now kind of changed my perspective on that a little.
Really? Like what?
I kind of want to keep it medicinal. I think recreational is a bad idea.
For what? What do you think it would? Why do you think it would do? What are the repercussions of recreational?
Well, seeing what's going on in Vegas where my brother is right now, seeing that most of the dispensaries are closing because when it's recreational, they can pull it. When it's medicinal, it's necessary. It's a necessity. It's like closing Walgreens. You can't close Walgreens during coronavirus.
But
I'd be so stocked up, I wouldn't give a fuck about that.
I mean,
what it should be,
You know what I'm
needs,
saying?
it needs,
I think all drugs should be recreational.
it needs to be grown yourselves. I mean, me and you anybody can grow a couple plants in their backyard.
Yeah, no, I don't.
And then you can
for
do it
sure.
yourself.
I don't disagree.
That's what
with
I mean
that.
by recreational.
That's if you want to do that. You know, if you want to go through.
If anybody can grow it, my thought is if anybody can grow it, then anybody can make any type of salve or product that you want. You know what I mean? So I don't think it would. I think that if you run out, you'll grab some from your neighbor, you know, vice versa. Or if you don't want to do it, you buy it from people like companies like Nice Dreams. You know what I mean? So I don't see And the reason why I'm kind of I'm glad we're talking about this is because I've been kind of chit-chatting about it too with my buddy with Balanzia. We've been talking about he's doing a deep dive on what's happened in Portugal with recreation, and I just feel like you look at so many of the people that have done it and it's worked. I don't know why it couldn't work here.
I'm not saying I think it's a bad idea necessarily, just seeing what's going on with all this coronavirus shit. So if they shut things down,
People can't get
if it's
it.
seen as recreational, because from what I
But
understand,
I don't understand why you can't get it. I'd grow it myself. Fuck everyone else.
You
Like,
can't.
it is,
Here's the way I see that, dude. Yeah, anyone can grow weed. You can grow weed, yes, but all the dispensaries I've been to, there's a lot of shitty fucking weed out there.
Yes,
so
there is.
So to grow it well, there's a difference between growing it and growing it well.
I know, but the fact that you can just grow it. That's it.
for
That's
sure.
all I need. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'll
No.
learn to grow it well over time.
Over
you know
time,
what I mean?
for sure. But I mean, yeah.
But I know what you mean. I think what he's getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like this. You look at I remember Phil Anselmo talking about. I watched a thing where he's talking about methadone, and he was talking about when Katrina went down, and how he had a buddy that was on methadone and living in New Orleans, and when Katrina happened, the dude couldn't get his
That's
doses.
the best thing that could happen to that guy.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
that's the best thing that could
I
happen
get
to
you.
him.
I get you. I get you. But he was telling a story about how the dude went through hell
Good.
because he wasn't ready to get off of it, and he had nowhere he can go. And
I disagree with that.
I get it. I get it. I'm not saying whether it's right.
I get your point of view.
Yeah.
But I understand the comparison you're making.
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying, this is, you can put in any drug in there, blood pressure medication.
Methadone's just legal heroin. So
I get it.
that's
I
different
get
than
it.
marijuana.
I get it,
I don't
dude.
think you can really compare
I just think
that.
it having the medicinal status makes it
Easier to get and makes it so they can't shut the place down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the dispensary the other day, I was talking to the girl, and she said they had just got an email from the CDC saying, since if you're a medical dispensary, that you're required to stay open like a minimum of 30 hours a week.
Because it's a necessity or
It's
whatever.
a necessity. And I see that as a good thing. Because if it's if it's viewed as recreational, I just see that as like, okay, now they're just seeing it as party time, and you can just pull it. You can't pull it if it's deemed recreational. I mean medicinal. I'm sorry.
As long as they say that when it happens to recreation, that anybody can do anything they want with it, grow it. If you're making the product for yourself, it's fucking
Dude. I
ball game.
fucking agree. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to grow it, but
it's just not the case right now.
right.
That's why you're doing Nice Dreams now, so that when that time's come, you have everything set up to roll right into THC.
Yeah, we got pet products too, man.
Oh,
Fuck
sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Then we got to definitely have you on again so we can talk about all this.
nicedreamscbd.com.
Yeah.
I especially want to get into the pet stuff.
Yeah, let's
Fuck
check it out,
yeah,
dude. Bust
dude.
out, bro. Shit.
Yeah.
It's funny you're talking about the
Fucking
pet
glad,
product
dude.
stuff because I just started looking into getting my dog on a regular dosage of CBD
Through Hempful Farms, right?
through Hempful Farms. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
You ever deal with those guys, Hempful Farms?
I haven't.
We got to you got to check out Chris.
Pain cream. You guys want?
Dude, you have no idea.
I was about to say,
Bro,
dude.
I have a bad back.
Yeah, I got some.
Can
Dude.
you put that in the camera?
I brought a bottle of multivitamins.
Huh?
Can you put it in front of that camera so that camera can
Yeah,
see it?
I will.
The front.
I brought a bottle of multivitamins.
What? I need a multivitamin.
And I got some samples of our gummies.
No way, bro.
Let me see.
Dude, I agree with this stuff. My dad's been asking for this shit for months.
You gotta taste our cherry bombs, dude.
Oh yeah, thanks, McClay.
All of our gummies are delicious, but our cherry bombs, this is a
I'll eat one right now. Shit.
Yeah, you can eat both. It's only 30 milligrams the whole thing. They're 15 each.
Dude, this is
Thanks,
fucking
bro.
awesome, bro. I totally wish
Dude,
we
I'm
would have got
really
into
fucking
this
happy for you,
earlier.
man. This is awesome. I love seeing my friends doing cool shit like this.
Thanks, man. And yeah, I got.
And you know what? At the end of our episodes, we do shout outs and shit. So we'll make sure we do shout outs to your company.
Sweet, man. I appreciate it.
We gotta actually. I want to have you on again. Also, we gotta talk about some music shit. We didn't even get into music. Are you still playing? Are you doing anything? Are you writing?
Yeah, I'm actually working on our the watermelon slices are vegan too.
Woohoo!
I'm actually.
Shit's good, bro. Fuck.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm actually doing some programming.
You got to pull this mic up, bro.
Sorry.
But anyway, we got to wrap up. Do you have anything else you want to plug or social medias or anything like that, or
Just nicedreams.com.
Yeah.
nicedreamscbd.com. Sorry.
nicedreamscbd.com.
Fucking up my
And we're gonna
website.
have we'll have Nick on again.
Yeah, I actually have a lot more stories about Egypt too.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So we can tap more on that later.
Oh yeah. Real quick, shout out to Dreadnought Comics. I was able to stop into Dreadnought Comics this week for the first time in a long time. If any of you guys are into comics in the Phoenix area, Dreadnought Comics is by far the best looking shop in the valley. Wall books galore. And they're constantly getting new products. So go check out Dreadnought Comics for wall books. Hempful Farms, their most recent farmers market got canceled because of the craziness, but I'm sure they'll have one again soon. So catch us out there. If you guys see Hempful Farms has a farmer market, you'll probably catch us out there. And make sure you guys check out Nick's nicedreamscbd.com and get some cool CBD products, especially like these gummies here.
yeah. Also check out quickscopeapparel.com. This, That, and the Other podcast, the AZ80HD podcast. You could buy shirts. I don't know where the fuck I did with it. You can buy shirts now from Bang Salon. Yeah, make sure you're supporting all your local businesses right now. If you know any bands or anything, make sure you're buying merch and supporting anyone in the arts who
And
having a hard time making money right now because shit's kind of fucked for a lot of people. So
yep.
do what you can.
If you know anybody that you want us to talk about on the show, let us know.
Yeah, I want to do a podcast with them where we just talk about different businesses and stuff that might be struggling. So if you have a business, just reach out to us and we'll talk about
I
you on the
wanted to
next
talk
episode.
about Tom Hanks, man.
And that's a wrap on
everybody's
episode
making
70.
videos.
It's actually 74. That's wrong.
Bang!